This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. iDesign Lab provides industry insight, discussing the latest trends, styles, and everything in between to better help you style your life through advice from trendsetters, designers, influencers, innovators, fabricators, and manufacturers, as well as personal stories that inspire, motivate, and excite. And join us on this elevated, informative, and lively journey into the world of all things design.
Welcome to iDesign Lab Tidbit. Today we're going to discuss design aesthetic, which, is kind of a big word with a lot of different meanings. And the reason I wanted to talk about this topic is being an interior designer, obviously myself, and doing this every day for other people. I'm doing this as an investment for the first time for our family. And the one thing that is super important to me as I've helped curate other people's homes and, try to take what their vision is for the house. This time I'm doing it for an end user that I don't know. So I don't want to fall into a lot of traps that I've seen a lot through the years where people try to.
So we just bought a house that we're going to renovate, remodel, and in 6 weeks later put it back on the market to sell. And so there's a little bit of back and forth between Tiffany and I on what are we going to spend money on and what we're not going to spend money on and what's the aesthetic going to look like in the end. Tiffany wants to change the driveway. She wants to change the color of the house. She wants to put a new roof on the house. She wants to put a whole new patio in the backyard, redo the pool. And we haven't even got inside the house yet. And that's the budget.
And I guess so where I'm starting with this is in any area around the country, around the world, aesthetics kind of come into play. This particular neighborhood was started in the late 70s. It has a very, very strong mid-century modern aesthetic, and it's actually super cool. But as you drive through the neighborhood, you realize what house was renovated in the 90s and what house was renovated in the 80s and what house was renovated in the 2000s, because they've all fallen pitfalls to a trend. So
an aesthetic of that time frame.
Correct. And that is my biggest, kind of frustration when I approach a project is that people just fall into trends instead of really accepting an aesthetic that you're working with and bringing it to its best up-to-date fruition. So this particular house has a few decades it
evidently has had a number of owners over the years, and each time a new owner bought this house, changes were made with no reflection or thinking of what the house was when they added on to it, or changed the kitchen, and the kitchen doesn't really match.
So they tried to fall into the old world vibe of the 90s, and then it went to the more modern vibe of, so there's a lot of different renovations that reflect a lot of different ages. So what I'm trying to do is kind of take all that back, take it away. I really spent a lot of time reflecting on where I could update, modernize, and keep the original aesthetic intention, because there is a lot of beauty to that aesthetic intention, but also make it where it would be, appealing to some other, a young generation, a retired couple, a young family, so this house can.
So what we're doing to achieve that aesthetic and to get and create the goals of what Tiffany's vision is we've planned out the entire house. We've 3D'd the entire house, so we can walk through visually and see exactly what the house is going to look like before we even start. And it's also a blueprint and a photograph, for lack of better words. As we do it, you can hold up the photograph saying, okay, that's not where that sconce is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, we're seeing everything, what it looks like before we even start.
And knowing what the budget has to be is so critical and so important before the overall investment, but also for this aesthetic. So as Scott mentioned, I would like to change everything, but there's some things that have to be changed and some things that are not going to be changed. So the house, for South Florida purposes, it does have impact glass already. Now, if I was buying impact glass from the very beginning, I would have selected and chosen a different vibe, a different color framing, a different product location, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with the driveway and the pool decking. Like, it's new, it's in beautiful condition, it's not necessary to change it. So it's going to be staying. So the items that we are changing, which is a lot of interior items, a lot of wall, different delineations of space, as well as a roof that needs to be changed, we are working to create a vibe that makes the driveway intentional. So it's not like, oh, they redid all this, but now look at that driveway. So we're not going to fall into those pitfalls, God willing, because we'll talk back here in about 8 weeks.
But in stepping into it, we came up with a budget. You're designing it. You're taking the entire design intent of what you've created, and we're putting it into the house without spending $1 or a nickel, and looking at it going, okay, this is absolutely beautiful, but we're a little over budget. So if we take this out, how will that look and how will that affect the aesthetic of the house?
For that.
And so we've been able to, as you say, value engineer and make those changes.
Design
and as we're making those
yes.
changes, we're actually seeing what it's going to look like with those changes, which is an amazing process to go through.
And it is a value of a service that, you know, we can offer and extend to other people who are trying to take on some of these routes for income and for investment.
It's really a way that everyone should be, if they're doing a remodel, if they're doing a new renovate, building a new house, seeing a 3D, renderings. It's not very costly to do it.
And it saves mistakes.
It saves mistakes. It saves time. But then you know exactly what you're getting. It's like going and buying a car. You go into the car dealership, you're able to sit in the car, you're able to drive the car, you know exactly how it operates, you know exactly how it feels, you know exactly what it looks like.
And that way you're not designing it, picking it up and being like, wait,
Right.
I thought I had black headliner, but it's white. Like it's really knowing and getting into the nitty-gritty details. I really do just believe that it's going to save you time and add value. So whatever money you put up front in your process of investment, whether it be for an end user or yourself.
Like we just did a very small little project for someone. It's a little apartment where we basically redid the kitchen. They had a very, very small budget, but we 3D'd it. They knew exactly what the cost was going to be.
Son, we were kind of did it as a sweet little extra.
Yeah, and they actually know exactly what it's going to look like. Like someone took a photo in the future of that kitchen. So now when they're spending their money, they know exactly what they're getting and exactly what it's going to look like when it's done. And that's something that people should be thinking about very seriously when they're getting ready to remodel or to build a home.
So
that's our little tidbit for today.
Happy iDesign.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.